All right, let's turn the page a little bit to the Cincinnati Bengals. They've got all types of issues, and as a Reds fan, there's plenty of reason to be optimistic. As a Bengals fan, and Joe Burrow's not coming back anytime soon, it's hard to find that same level of optimism when you're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. They've got issues all over the place. Defensively, coaching, line play. You have belief in their weapons, but they're not getting the ball. They're not doing anything. They got issues all over the place. They also have issues at quarterback. Let's be very clear. I think there's some people that are trying to give Jake Browning a little bit of a pass, just because how bad everything is around Jake Browning. But I'm here to say Jake Browning's been bad too. He's not the sole person to blame, but he's the quarterback, and he's been bad. And when you have a bad quarterback that's surrounded by a bunch of other bad, a lot more bad, you're going to get bad results. And that's what Cincinnati has at this point here, certainly over the past 2 weeks. So people have been throwing out the idea of, hey, Cincinnati needs to trade for a quarterback or add somebody. And at first, I was like, well, let's pump the brakes on this. At the time, you were 2-0. You've won with Jake Browning in the past. Let's see what he can do. Was I confident in him? No. But he deserved the chance to be the guy for this team. He's gone on the road in back-to-back weeks against two fringe playoff teams who people are solid football teams. Not great football teams, but solid football teams. And he's been bad. If he goes out there again against Detroit, and a lot of us, even the most optimistic Bengals fans, it's hard for us to wrap our heads around the possibility of even winning this football game on Sunday. Obviously, it's at home, but you're 10-plus point underdogs in this game. Is there any way this Bengals team can win? I don't know. But you're getting to the point where it could potentially become too late for this situation where you entertain bringing in a quarterback, right? You lose here, now you're under 500. That means 3 straight losses. Then you lose again, you're 2-4, and then it's like, oh, we're starting to be at a point where we don't have a ton of room for error. And then it's probably too late to even consider making a trade to bring somebody in. But if you're going to do it, obviously you're probably not going to do it here on a Thursday. But if you're going to do it, it has to come after the Detroit game early next week, assuming you lose the game. If you win the game, fine. But you have to make this move immediately after Sunday if you lose the game and you're 2-3. Because if you wait any longer than that, it's going to be too late, and you're not even going to be able to do anything. So the names. There's 2 guys, obviously, that play football for the New York Giants that are not the starter, that have been starters in the National Football League for a really long time, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. You can make the argument. I think Jameis is easier to root for. He's more fun, right? His sound bites are hilarious. Seems like a great teammate. Everybody loves him, right? He, of course, has experience playing in the AFC North with Cleveland. I think a lot of us would be like, we'd rather have Jameis. But I think more of the football people would say Russ would probably be the better quarterback to take. I mean, obviously Russ was the starter this year for the Giants. And there's been some murmurings about Cincinnati being interested in Russell Wilson. Mike Florio a couple of days ago pointed that out, that, hey, maybe a 5th-round pick to the Giants for Russell Wilson. Look, that price is just going to go up as time goes on because the Giants are going to realize that they have more leverage than Cincinnati, especially if Cincinnati loses this week. They can ask for a little bit more for Russell Wilson and see how desperate the Cincinnati Bengals are. If they would have made a move like this when they were 2-0, right, as some people in this city said, and I got to give them credit because they were right. If you make a move for Russ when you're 2-0, you don't have to get much for him or give up much for him, right? Because you're 2-0. You got some leverage there. It's like we don't need him. We want him, but we don't need him. You're running out of leverage here at this point, and these teams could ask for more. Can Russell Wilson help this team win more so than Jake Browning? I don't know. But Jake Browning's been really, really bad. And we talked about you can't really afford to punt on the season considering how much you're paying Jamar and T, and you got Trey Hendrickson back and you're paying him for this year. To just give up on the season because you lost 9, you can't really do that. Do you feel good about winning without Joe Burrow? Absolutely not. But you can't afford to punt on the season considering what you are doing for all your star players as far as compensating them. Do I think the Bengals should do this? We'll talk on Monday is kind of my answer at this point. Because if Jake Browning proves he is competent, and he really hasn't proven competence yet. And I get it, man. I get that he has no help around him, but neither did Joe Burrow, and he was able to figure it out. And by help, I mean protection, offensive line. Clearly, he's got skill guys. All right? But if you've got an offensive line that is horrible, and you have a head coach and play caller in Zach Taylor who looks unprepared and is continuously getting outclassed by the other coaching staff, your chips are stacked against you in that regard. But you have to have that pursuit of trying to get better and not punt on the season. I think Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston do that. There's been some rumors that Cincinnati's interested. If you lose Sunday, it's got to be then. It can't be you lose Sunday and then you lose to Green Bay. Oh, now let's go get rest. It's too late at that point if you're 2-4. If you're going to do it, it's got to be. I mean, you can make the argument it should have already been done this week, but it's got to be done immediately following the Detroit game if you lose. Again, Jameis, he's more fun, right? He's funnier, better teammate. But as far as winning football games, I think you probably lean Russ, which I don't love saying that, but you probably do. Another name that's been floated around that would not be a trade situation is Derek Carr. Derek Carr, of course, retired and is not playing professional football right now. Obviously wouldn't have to give up anything in order to get Derek Carr. ESPN, Jeremy Fowler, he threw this name out. Anytime a guy at ESPN, Jeremy Fowler is a great reporter, outstanding. Anytime he brings something up, I think it's worth talking about. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, no, but I think it's worth talking about. That obviously is a completely different ball game because you wouldn't have to trade anything to get him. Derek Carr, for a long time, is a real solid quarterback in this league. But similar to some of the issues of Joe Burrow, he was getting hit at all times, both with the Raiders and the Saints. Does he have any interest in coming back? I have no idea. If I'm a retired quarterback that still has that competitive fire, I'd be interested in throwing to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Could he be better than Jake Browning? Well, if he comes back and plays like he did before he retired, yeah, he's better than Jake Browning. He was a starter in this league. So it's interesting. At first, I wasn't in a spot where I thought it'd be a good idea to bring in a quarterback. It's like, you know what? Don't panic. See what Browning can do. You've won with him before. But these past two games for Jake Browning have been ugly, and I think that's not being talked about enough just because how ugly the whole process has been, how the whole product has been on the football field offensively and defensively. But Jake Browning's been really, really bad too. Jake Browning has not been a winning quarterback whatsoever. So we'll see. I think Cincinnati should entertain the idea of bringing in another guy. And one of those two guys in New York, obviously, would be a solid guy to bring in. They've clearly turned the page with Jackson Dart. He's their guy. Had a nice game in week one. And they can afford to get rid of one of those guys. They don't need to keep both Winston and Wilson. If they have an opportunity to pick up a draft pick and move one of them, I think it would be the right move for the Giants to do that. Ultimately, we'll see if Cincinnati decides to do it. But again, they're kind of running out of time as it relates to that.